Hello everyone, welcome to Brainwaves. Today on Brainwaves we're going to talk about psychosis and a new service for families with psychosis. As you may know, if you have a loved one with psychosis, the strongest support for an individual with psychosis usually comes from their family, and my family and I can attest to that. In fact, we know that taking care of a loved one who has psychosis can often be as challenging and as bewildering as living with psychosis itself. Fortunately, there's now a new service in the U.S. for family caregivers and caregivers in general of people with psychosis. It's called Helios, and it's an online interactive video chat mediated support service for family caregivers of people with psychosis. With us today is Guilhem Dupont, um, and he works with Helios. He actually co-founded Helios. He's going to tell us a bit about services. So Guilhem, thank you so much for being with us on Brainwaves today. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Brendan.
You bet. So Guilhem, I understand you have a family member yourself with who's experienced some of these issues, and I kind of guess that might be what motivated you to start Helios.
That's true. I am a caregiver of a patient with schizophrenia, and so is my wife.
Hmm.
And as family members, we intended to help that person, but like everyone in this area, um, we did it very badly. We didn't have any education, no training, and we actually ended up making many situations much worse than they were meant to be. So my wife and I, we participated to classes, support groups. The main problem is often these classes and groups were not really tailored to what we actually needed, but also many of these classes were either in the evening or during the day at a time where I was either working or my wife was caring for the patient. So very, very difficult for us to attend it. And we thought we've got to do something about this. And we started thinking about creating a service for families of patients with schizophrenia with similar needs as we had. And as such, the idea of Helios came about 5 years ago now.
And so Helios is fundamentally different from an in-person session with a clinician in the sense that it's an online service. So can you tell us a bit about how it works and how it can help families with loved ones with psychosis?
That's correct. It's actually very different from any family support groups in three different ways. Firstly, it's online only. We only provide the service through video conference. And families love it. In fact, they love the fact that they don't have to travel. They love the fact they don't have to leave their home, or they can take the call from work if needed. The second element is families work with professional clinicians trained in family intervention with plenty of experience behind them and often even personal experience. So they can certainly empathize with the challenge the family is going through and provide real hands-on advice and experience that can help the families. The third element is everything that we do is actually what we call evidence-based.
Mm.
And this means that everything that the clinician would advise would have already proven work scientifically. And these are tried and tested solutions which are re-engineered for the purpose of being provided by a video conference. The biggest achievement that we have over the last 2 years of full activities of Helios is that 95% stayed and completed all their trainings with great attendance and then providing great feedback and providing great referrals to new families in need.
Fantastic. So the call broke up for a moment, but I'll reiterate what I believe you said, that 95% of families who started the program stayed with the program over the entire course of training, which is how long?
Which is anywhere between 8 sessions to 16 sessions, depending on the need of the family and the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's entirely the choice of the family. They are the one who will elect their own goal. They will say to the clinician, this is my situation, this is what I want to change. And the clinician will work with this person to actually change the situation. For example, many of our families calling us have a patient who is struggling taking the medication when it is meant to be taken. And that's a very difficult issue for families because very few families understand how difficult it is for a patient to take the medication. So we normally it takes about 3 to 5 sessions to actually work out a solution with the family and give the families the chance to implement a solution until they start seeing progress. Other solutions like communication skill. How do you talk to a loved one who has been diagnosed with schizophrenia without upsetting them or without making them just walk away in frustration? That's a very simple communication skill, but if you don't know it, you might just end up having broken communication and relationship every time you try to re-engage.
I can see why this can be an extremely useful tool for people with family members with psychosis to use. So that's great you're providing that. What results have you heard back from, like what feedback have you had from families? What results have you had?
So the biggest impact we have on families is actually measured through clinical trials. We're currently running 4 clinical trials, and we're measuring how the level of stress is getting better, how the anxiety is getting better. So we observe that families have improved the level of stress, improved anxiety. We also observe that they have shown better well-being, improved well-being, less burden. But fundamentally, we observe that families and patients have an improved relationship by the fact that they're starting working together. Recently, a mother told me, it's the first time I've been able to have a walk with my son in 19 years. Another one explained that was the first time she started having an activity with her daughter, which I think was meant to do with making bread. But just doing this activity, she has not had that since her daughter had fallen out from college. So as a result of the illness.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very proud of that. And eventually, the work we do with families has an impact also on the recovery of the patient. Mm-hmm. Patients do better. There's plenty of evidence out there that helping families helps the patient. And this is what we're doing. And that's our goal.
Fantastic. That's amazing. So do you have any plans to expand Helios to perhaps deal with other aspects of mental illness or brain illness?
That's a great question. Thank you. We have 2 goals. Fundamentally, we want to make Helios available to as many families in the US as possible. That means that we need to find ways to secure reimbursement with commercial insurances, Medicaid, Medicare, and even the VA association. But our other goal is to go beyond psychosis and schizophrenia and enter other areas where there's a big need of caregiver support, like Alzheimer and dementia, cancer, autism, bipolar disorder, etc. Whenever a caregiver makes a big difference in the life of a patient, we want to be able to provide them with support, coaching, and training to actually make that difference.
Amazing. That's going to be so good for so many families everywhere. So I think it's going to be great, and I appreciate that you're doing this for people with mental illness and people all over the place. So that's great.
Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah. So if families want to get in touch with you to learn more or perhaps start a session with Helios, how can they do that?
Very simply, go online, Helios.org. That's HEALIOS.org.
Mm-hmm.
They can also, sorry?
No, that's it. Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much, Guilhem, for being with us today on Brainwaves. And if people have any questions for you online after I post this video, are you ready to answer some questions?
Absolutely. We would love to do that.
Okay, thanks, Guilhem. Great. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brandon. Talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.